Right now on the news at noon, getting right to rebuilding. A fire at the YMCA over the weekend costing community jobs and resources. NBC2 is talking to people trying to now turn around a huge loss.
Plus, NBC2 updating a death investigation in Fort Myers. We now have a name and a face of a man found floating dead in the water over the weekend.
And a push for action overseas. NBC2 has the latest developments on a possible military strike against Syria.
But first, let's get to some breaking news right now that we are following at noon. Lee County deputies are responding to a bank robbery at the Fifth Third Bank on State Road 82 near Lee Boulevard in Fort Myers. NBC2's Matt Wright is live on the scene right now and is breaking the very latest details for us. Matt.
The Fort Myers Police Department received a call about this bank robbery just before 11 o'clock this morning at the Fifth Third Bank here at the Crossroads Shopping Center at the corner of State Road 82 and Lee Boulevard. What we know so far, and we just got this new information a few minutes ago, a white van pulled up. Two black men jumped out. One had a gun. They ran inside the bank, demanded cash, and then took off in a van. Now, that van was later located by police in Lehigh Acres, but the suspects are all still on the loose. Now, it is important to note that no shots were ever fired. No one was ever hurt inside the bank. And this happened again just before 11 o'clock at the Fifth Third Bank. This is the fourth bank robbery in just the past week in Southwest Florida. No word yet if this is connected to any of those other bank robberies, but certainly that is something that police are looking into and investigating as they continue to look for the suspects in this bank robbery and all three of those other bank robberies in the last week. We will be here. We will continue to gather new information, bring you some pictures, surveillance pictures of what happened and those suspects coming up soon on the news at noon. So stay tuned. For now, live in Fort Myers, Matt Wright, NBC2.
Matt, thank you. Well, happening right now at noon, Florida Highway Patrol investigating a pair of men who were driving recklessly on I-75 and then were seen throwing drugs out the window.
NBC2 Sam Sweeney's live right now on Corkscrew Road where troopers finally got the two men to stop. Sam.
Nick, very active investigation. To give you an idea of where we're standing, we're right across from the Miramar outlets. Two men in custody in that car there behind me. It all started when troopers tried to make a traffic stop at mile marker 117 as this pair headed north on 75. This was the scene just moments ago. A Mazda Miata being searched by troopers. They say marijuana was in the car. Troopers believe that there was also cocaine and possibly other drugs thrown from the windows before these two men stopped. Troopers did also empty out two large beer cans as well. The two men are not cooperating with authorities and won't provide real names. Now troopers say they are searching for those drugs. Again, mile marker 117 is where this all began. That's where troopers will begin their search, and they will make their way 6 miles out here on Corkscrew Road across from the Miramar outlets. As this story develops, continue to count on us for the very latest. For now, we're live in Estero. Sam Sweeney, NBC2.
Sam, thank you. Well, a fire rips through the Greater Naples YMCA, displacing more than 60 kids expected to show up for care.
City leaders are there working to try to come up with a reconstruction plan after a third of the building was lost.
NBC2's Jim Spiewak live on scene today for how they plan to rebuild the Y.
Well, out here on the front lawn, there's exercise equipment that is busted out through the doors and windows here just next to the building. And while it hasn't been officially ruled as such yet, even the fire chief is saying that lightning strikes caused this fire that started yesterday, caused millions of dollars worth of damage. As you take a quick look inside, you can see the roof is collapsed on all of this exercise equipment that members are so used to using. So now the question is, where do members go from here, and where do parents that rely on things like daycare services take their kids going forward? All questions administrators here at the Y are trying to find answers for right now.
Didn't know who it was. We're trying to catch everybody here, give them all the information we can.
More than 6,000 YMCA members in Naples wake up Tuesday needing a new place to work out.
I may have to do some power walking.
Greeted by employees in the early morning hours.
Was struck by lightning around the fitness center, which caused the building to catch on fire, so we lost everything towards that side.
The news leaves members wondering, what now?
Makes me sad, actually. It's the Y. You know, the Y is always there for everybody.
But the Y is more than just a place of fitness. Hundreds of parents and kids depend on it for its daycare and after-school programs. More than 60 kids aged 1 to 3 are displaced from their normal daycare.
But we are bringing in modulars. We're working with our insurance company and the restoration team to bring them in quickly.
The modulars will serve as a temporary daycare during construction. The state fire marshal says a third of the building is destroyed. A staple in the community is left rebuilding.
We are committed to doing everything necessary to ensure that the Y reestablishes itself better than before.
City leaders met first thing Tuesday to support the Y, allocating resources.
It's going to take a community to rebuild this Y.
The costs are covered through insurance. Even employees who lost wages are covered through an insurance policy. Back out live, you can see why it's easy to understand why city leaders and administrators here at the YMCA are working to do everything they can as quickly as they can to bring this back up to par. Any member that's a member here can go to the Marco YMCA to continue to work out free of charge. And as far as those portables are concerned that we talked about in the piece, they're expected to be on scene sometime today. We're going to keep following this story all day. Stay with us for more updates. But for now, that is the latest. We are live in Naples. Jim Spiewak, NBC2.
All right, Jim, thanks. Some pretty serious damage there. Now to an update on a story we first brought you Saturday. Fort Myers police have identified the man found dead floating in the Caloosahatchee River. NBC2's Danielle Kaliniak live right now in the newsroom with this developing story. Danielle.
Nick, this afternoon we're learning police have identified the person as 26-year-old Stephen Jean. Here's a photo of Jean on your screen if we can get that up. A homeowner spotted his body near a dock off West Riverside Drive in Fort Myers around 10 o'clock on Saturday morning. Detectives tell us based on how badly decomposed his body was, he could have been floating in the water for several days. Now it's still unclear how Jean died, but police say there were no indications of foul play. Of course, you can count on NBC2 to stay on top of this developing story. I'm live in the newsroom. Danielle Kliniak, NBC2.
Danielle, thanks. Right now, a teen is being treated for life-threatening injuries after a tubing accident on Lake Seminole. Pinellas County deputies say a 15-year-old girl and a 13-year-old girl were being towed behind a motorboat yesterday when a man in a Sea-Doo crashed into them. The younger girl is recovering with just minor injuries. Deputies say 21-year-old Ryan Godcharles of Naples was driving that Sea-Doo. He was not hurt in this accident. Deputies are investigating but say alcohol was not a factor.
As tension mounts over the crisis in Syria, we've learned Israel has carried out a joint missile test with the U.S. in the Mediterranean. Right now, the Obama administration is pushing for action against Syria in the form of a limited military strike. Today, the president is working to gain support from Congress. Well, after meeting with the president, Republicans John McCain and Lindsey Graham say they will push for action, but still need some convincing.
We urge the president to up his game and inform the American people. What does it mean if Assad wins and the opposition loses?
I can't support something that I'm afraid may be doomed to failure in the long run.
Some lawmakers believe a civil war in Syria and the use of chemical weapons has no effect on national security here at home and are adamant about staying out of it. Meantime, the United Nations Refugee Agency reports more than 2 million refugees have fled Syria's violence. The country is losing almost 5,000 citizens a day.
And new right now, we're checking in with Wall Street to see how the unrest in Syria is impacting the markets. Now take a look, up slightly to 2156, 14,831. This is on the heels of the first day that President Obama announced that he would be seeking approval from Congress to take some sort of military action in Syria. We will keep those numbers up for you at the bottom of your screen and, of course, have the closing numbers for you first at 4.
New at noon, Lee County commissioners agree to match the money Southwest Florida's largest city is putting forward to bring in 250 new jobs. Hertz is looking at the Cape and another city in an unknown state to put a customer care center in place. Cape Coral City Council already approved a $187,000 incentive package to make sure Hertz chooses to locate in Cape Coral. These jobs, want to tell you, are separate from the 750 Hertz is bringing to Southern Lee County when they relocate their headquarters.
After one day of early voting, less than 300 people hit the polls in Lee County. On Saturday, 256 people voted in Cape Coral, and Fort Myers is 25. Early voting continues today through Saturday. In Fort Myers, the council seat in Ward 3 is on the ballot. In the Cape, the District 1 council seat and mayor are on the ballot. Early voting locations are at the Lee County Election Office in Fort Myers and the branch office in Cape Coral. Hours are from 10 in the morning to 6 through Friday, 9 to 5 on Saturday. Absentee voting in Fort Myers is skyrocketing in the primary for the Ward 3 City Council seat. So far, 414 ballots have been returned, compared to only 47 in the last primary. Incumbent Levon Sims and his attorney have asked for an investigation, calling the increase suspicious. But the Lee County Elections Office found only 13 of those ballots were questionable. 12 of those were actually rejected.
Well, police right now are investigating a crash on the water near the nation's capital, and it did involve a boat that belongs to law enforcement. Wow. We're going to have another look at this crash, plus new details on it next at noon.
Sorry, Heather. Plus an update on a serious crash in Southwest Florida involving 10 members of the same family.
Second day in a row, showers getting an early start in some communities. We'll show you First Alert Live Doppler radar right now. And the early start is in Charlotte County, where we've had some downpours come into the Cape Hayes Peninsula. And indeed, an urban flood advisory is in effect until 1:30 this afternoon because of the duration of some of those downpours. Here in Fort Myers, we haven't seen any rain yet, but some clouds blowing in off of those showers and thunder showers in our coastal waters. We'll take a closer look at rain prospects and when our weather pattern will get back to normal. Stay tuned for that.